Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch from Crime Talk, and thanks for watching. Ghislaine Maxwell dealt a blow in court and day 28 of the suicided watch. Second, we know who's coming to the Lori Vallow Chad Daybell preliminary hearing. It's official. Michael Avenatti is broke. Have you heard of a sovereign citizen? Listen to what this guy is accused of. The world is losing their mind when you hear this story. The D.C. Circuit Court will review the Flynn case. And finally, our dumb criminal contestant of the week. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch from Crime Talk. Thanks for watching. As always, please subscribe, hit that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content, and please leave us a comment below about what we talk about today. First on the docket, Ghislaine Maxwell was dealt a bit of a blow in court today. That's right, U.S. District Court Judge Loretta Preska denied Ms. Maxwell's request to block the release of depositions from a 2016 civil lawsuit, but delayed that ruling until Monday to see if Ms. Maxwell, through her attorneys, ultimately want to appeal. The deposition transcripts come from a 2015 defamation case brought by one of the complaining witnesses in the Jeffrey Epstein matter. The victim complained that Epstein sexually abused her while she was a minor and that Maxwell aided in the abuse of that case in 2017. The woman who brought that suit claimed that Epstein had sexually abused her with the assistance of Maxwell. That case was settled in 2017. Now, you may recall Ms. Maxwell has 2 counts of perjury, and those perjury counts come from this deposition transcript where she denied having any knowledge of Mr. Epstein's plan or scheme to traffic in underage girls. Judge Preska, in her decision, was somewhat understanding and sympathetic to Ms. Maxwell's arguments, however, stated in the context of this case, especially its allegations of sex trafficking of young girls, the court finds any minor embarrassment or annoyance resulting from Ms. Maxwell's mostly non-testimony is far outweighed by the presumption of public access to these records. The court's note of non-testimony usually indicates that the court believes that most of her answers were non-responsive, evasive, and frankly, probably less than credible. So we'll have to wait and see when those transcripts are released. I bet there's a lot of I don't recalls, I don't recall, I don't recall. You will find the words I don't recall in lots of civil depositions because that way nobody has to say yes or no. Apparently, however, Ms. Maxwell in her depositions did state that she denied any knowledge, like I said previously, hence the basis for the perjury charge regarding those questions where she was unequivocally stating no, she had no knowledge. She should have said, I don't recall. Next on the docket, we know who's coming to the Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow preliminary hearing. Well, as of right now, so most people aren't aware of this, but say, for example, the state attorney or even a defense attorney handling a matter wants to subpoena a federal agent, i.e. ATF, FBI, you name it, any of those alphabet agencies. Can you think an officer of the court or even the state can compel a federal agent to attend? No, you cannot. Only if they consent. So we know who's coming to the Lori Vallow Chad Daybell preliminary hearing. We have 3 special agents from the FBI that have been subpoenaed. Now you may say, why would somebody have to subpoena a federal agent to come to a case where they were involved and were cooperative with the state authorities? Well, there's some federal legislation out there that requires any federal agents to appear as a witness in state court to be subpoenaed either by the prosecution or the defense, and the special agents, via their boss and the agency, can deny or refuse to come to those hearings. I have tried to subpoena federal agents in the past for my clients, and usually the agents refuse to appear. In this particular case, the state has subpoenaed 3 federal agents as well as an Idaho State Police forensic officer by the name of Rylene Nolan. The 3 federal agents that plan to appear are Special Agent Benjamin Dean, Special Agent Stephen Daniels, and Special Agent Gary Liu. Obviously, that's a mere formality. However, the state has taken it upon themselves to make sure that these people appear in court. There more than likely will be local police officers or detectives subpoenaed and testify at the preliminary hearing for both Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. However, they don't require a subpoena because they're cooperative and they basically report to the district attorney. This preliminary hearing is going to be good and it will be televised, so we'll be watching it with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's official. Michael Avenatti is broke. We brought you the story last week that Mr. Michael Avenatti was, for lack of a better term, broke, indigent, whatever term you would like to use, unable to continue to pay for private counsel to represent him on his cases pending in both New York and LA. One federal judge has agreed to allow one of his private attorneys to stay on and be paid at state expense, specifically the federal government, under what they call the Criminal Justice Act panel. If there is a conflict with the Public Defender's Office, then there is a Criminal Justice Act panel which has a list of private attorneys who will represent somebody and be compensated by the government. I assure you it is not at the normal hourly rate that these attorneys would be making. However, at least they know they will get paid. The court stated that there was no conflict with the federal public defenders in this particular case. However, it made no sense to have somebody come on the case, delay the proceedings, and for a lack of a better term, basically have to reinvent the wheel and get up to speed. It makes much more judicial economy and efficiency to have the attorney stay on and finish the case. Mr. Avenatti is still awaiting sentencing where he was convicted of extortion regarding Nike, the footwear company, and he is pending trial in 2 other matters regarding thefts from his clients as well as thefts from his former client, Miss Stormy Daniels. Next on the docket, have you ever heard of a sovereign citizen? Most people probably have not. However, this is a group of people here in the United States that believe that they are not subject to any of the laws here in the United States, and that only thing that matters is common law. What they fail to recognize is that most statutory laws are simply a codification of the common law. These individuals usually reject any form of taxation as being completely illegitimate. They oftentimes refer to themselves as free men or free women. They also believe that if they reject their government-given name, i.e. the name on their birth certificate, that also frees them from the government authority. Now, I've represented several of these individuals. A lot of them have a big problem with the fringe on the flag in courtrooms. They believe that that is a flag that comes from a naval or admiralty history, and therefore people have no jurisdiction over them. A lot of the sovereign citizen individuals usually kind of snap out of it, so to speak, when they're looking at going to prison. They oftentimes will put liens on particular judges, and they pretend as though they live in a pretend country where they have their own sheriffs and judges and things of that nature. And they love to write and file motions with the court. 99.9% of it is complete drivel and nonsense. And then, unfortunately, the court actually has to read it to see if that 0.01% is of some relevance. They like to delay the proceedings and go on and on and on. Most people that become a member of that usually snap out of it when they realize they're actually going to jail or prison. Some of them, though, will fight to the bitter end, saying the court has no jurisdiction. Well, the court does have jurisdiction. That's why you're sitting in a courtroom, and that's why The court has the authority to send you to prison. Well, listen to what this alleged sovereign citizen has going on for him. And this sovereign citizen comes from Connecticut. Usually these people are kind of normally out west, and like I said, they just think that the government doesn't apply to them in any way. Anyway, this alleged sovereign citizen, Jerry David Thompson, he's 42, is accused of beheading his landlord with a samurai sword over the weekend and refused to speak to the police or in court and claimed that he was in fact a sovereign citizen, not subject to any state laws. The victim in this particular case was Mr. Thompson's landlord, Mr. Victor King. He was 64 and apparently a champion bridge player. His body was found slashed and covered by a sheet in his West Hartford Asylum Hills home on Sunday. The police went there after another tenant heard Mr. Thompson threatening Mr. King. For obvious reasons, the detectives quickly zeroed in on Mr. Thompson, and they determined that he in fact had moved into a spare room in King's house within the last year, which corroborated the information by the other tenant. They found him in a park some 6 hours later, and he refused to speak to the police at all. Only thing he would say was, at some point, he wrote a note to the detectives that said, "Paper in glove box in Jeep is all you need." The note in the glove box stated, "I'm a sovereign citizen and am not subject to the laws of the United States." Whereupon Mr. Thompson was promptly arrested and subject to the laws of the United States. We'll see how that works out for Mr. Thompson. My thinking is that the court will find that they have jurisdiction over him throughout the proceedings, whereupon he will spend a good chunk of his remaining natural life, if not all of it, behind bars. Before we get to our next story on the docket about why the whole world is completely losing their mind, let me tell you what you need to protect yourself from the whole world that's losing their minds. That's right, to be able to run a criminal background check on anyone. If you go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for a subscription, you can run unlimited searches. You can do it anonymously, find out information regarding social media, telephone numbers, email addresses, criminal records, property records, civil judgments, and marital records. All super important. But don't take my word. Take the word from a subscriber who says, "Thanks to Scott's background search, I just found out one of the guys that was interested in me had sexual abuse of minor charges that he lied about. I feel so disgusting for talking to him, let alone cuddling him." There you have it, from a subscriber that says that this background search, for lack of a better term, could have prevented something terrible from happening. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up. You will be satisfied and happy that you did. All right, a story which will make you believe that the whole world is losing their minds, or perhaps at least everyone is on drugs. Douglas Marx was charged and arrested with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Mr. Marx, Monday evening, was in the lobby of the Crystal Beach Suites. Apparently, he noticed a woman and her son sitting on a bench and did not have their masks on. Mr. Marx approached the woman and the child, told them that they needed to leave. They ignored Mr. Marx, whereupon he did the most rational thing he could possibly think of, and that would be to fire shots into the air to get them to leave. Mr. Marx told the police that he was going to take care of this and that these people were not following directions. Mr. Marx later changed his story to the police, stating that someone was in fact following him, and he also stated that he had asked the hotel front desk clerk to call 911 before firing 4 warning shots. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole world is losing their mind, or maybe on drugs. Perhaps Mr. Marx was hallucinating, which is all the more reason why he shouldn't have a firearm. And when you're dealing with people like Mr. Marx, is exactly why you should go to CrimeTalkSearch.com and be able to run background searches on the people out there to see if they have criminal histories. You just never know. Next on the docket, the D.C. Circuit will be sitting what they refer to as en banc basically means all the justices will be sitting together and will review the case of Michael Flynn. As you may recall, Mr. Flynn was a top national security advisor early on in the Trump administration. He resigned and was ultimately charged and pled guilty to lying to special agents, specifically the FBI. As the case progressed, the United States attorney moved to dismiss the case. The trial court hearing this case, Judge Emmett Sullivan, was somewhat taken aback by the fact that the United States attorney would dismiss the case. In 25 years of practicing law, I have never seen this happen. I have talked to other attorneys about this case, and no one has seen anything like this take place. So what Judge Sullivan did was actually appoint a private attorney who just happened to be a former judge and wrote a brief as to why Michael Flynn's case should not be dismissed. The government in this particular case, the United States attorney, appealed Judge Sullivan's ruling to the D.C. Circuit, and a panel, 2-1, ruled that the court had no basis in which to deny signing the motion to dismiss by the government. Now, on a petition for rehearing, the D.C. Circuit will sit en banc, and 10 of the 11 judges on the circuit will hear the case. Since it is an even number, if the case were 5-5, the previous ruling from the appellate court would stand. But needless to say, whomever loses will probably appeal to the United States Supreme Court. Normally, the judge is simply a trier of the facts and applies the law. Judges nowhere decide what cases go forward and which ones shouldn't. That's why this is a very rare and unusual case, and I've never seen a judge deny signing a motion to dismiss filed by the United States government or any prosecutor for that matter. So we'll see if Judge Sullivan is a rogue judge or if he's the only one that appears to be right so far in the D.C. Circuit. We'll see how things go as the hearing is set for August 11th. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Her name is Nicole Dennison. She is 29 years old, and she is married to the man that she is alleged to have assaulted. Now, what did Miss Dennison do that got her into trouble? Miss Dennison arrived home early from her job as a flight attendant, whereupon she found Mr. Dennison performing a sexual act with someone other than herself, as he remained home as he is a bartender and a fitness instructor. Miss Dennison immediately began to pummel Mr. Dennison, giving him a black eye and scratches. Miss Dennison has been arrested, released, but still able to have contact with Mr. Dennison, probably because they have 2 kids together. Now, Miss Dennison, you are our dumb criminal contestant of the day, only for the fact that you assaulted your husband. He probably deserved it. He probably did. But in a civilized society, we cannot go around assaulting people to get our way. I'm sure your parents probably told you that. And we understand. Your husband sounds like a not great guy at this particular moment. And if he's sleeping with someone other than you, it probably means he's over with you. So, in the words that we've given quite often throughout this program, let it go. I understand you're upset. Maybe pack up your stuff, take the kids and leave, file for divorce. But don't assault him, because now, guess what? You have been arrested, you have been charged, and now you are the one that, if convicted, will probably have to take domestic violence counseling classes and have this on your record, which will affect potentially your job and ability to travel, since you are, in fact, a flight attendant. I understand the heat of the motion, but sometimes you need to take a deep breath, step back, and let it go. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching Crime Talk. We'll see you tomorrow.